welcome to my channel. If you're new, hey. If you're returning, welcome back. If you're new, why don't you go ahead and hit that subscribe button so you can see when I play with makeup, and hopefully both of you guys hit the notification bell so you know when I upload a new video. And why don't you both, when this video's over, head on over to Instagram and check me out. I post about 3 times, sometimes a little bit more a week, not too much. So today I really wanted to go through my neutral palette collection. I tend to get dressed by moods, if that makes any sense. I wake up and I'm either feeling pretty neutral or whatever, and I find that if I organize my palettes based on color stories, so I have neutrals in one container, and then I have my berry romantic pinkish, and then I have my warm tones and colors, and then I have another one that's kind of my catch-all. It's kind of when I don't really know how I'm feeling, so I grab one of those palettes. And that's just how I organize my palette. So today I really want to just dive into the neutrals and show you what I have there. It's not a declutter. Eventually I'll get there at some point. But yeah, it's just my collection. So grab a seat. It may be a slightly longer video. I'll try to talk a little bit fast, but you know, I enjoy it, so it'll be a little bit longer. These are all my neutral palettes, and if I want a neutral look, I'll go in here and find one. I actually keep my packaging. I love packaging, just first off. But second, I kind of am a neat freak when it comes to certain things, and I like my palettes to stay clean, so I keep the packaging for those. So you'll see, they're not brand new. I literally just kept the packaging. So let's just dive into these bad boys. So I'm going to do these by brand, and the first brand is Tarte, and the first palette I have is Tartelette in Bloom. This was one of the first palettes that I actually purchased when I started to really get into makeup. The packaging is absolutely just gorgeous, and I'm a sucker for packaging, but it's actually a really nice palette too. I mean, that's what you get it for, right? Not the packaging. So this is what it looks like. It's really very, very, very neutral. They have some pretty shades in here. I like this one here. Let's see. Such a beautiful chocolate brown. Another one I like is this one here. This shade is Firecracker. And that's really, really pretty. I don't even know what you call that. Probably copper, I suppose. And this is a nice highlight shade here. Let me move it. This one is Funny Girl. I won't swipe all of them. I have quite a few to go through, but this is a really nice sort of everyday palette, Tartelette in Bloom. So this next palette is a Tarte Clay Play. This one's good. I don't use it as much as I did in the beginning, and I think because I found other neutral palettes that I like quite a bit more. But again, the formula is really good with Tarte. Some of these don't really show as much as I'd like to on my skin tone. Yeah, that one is just not the greatest. I probably should go ahead and say goodbye to this palette, but it's one of my first few, and I really love the packaging, and I love the colors. So this is the Tarte Clay Play palette. The next Tarte palette I have is called Happy Girls Shine Brighter. This, again, I keep saying it with Tarte, but they kill it, well, they used to kill it with the packaging. If I can get this one open. This one looks very similar to the last one. And I think I got this probably because it's smaller and it's good for travel. But this is the Tarte Happy Girls Shine Brighter palette. The next brand that I really got into was Urban Decay. And these are the Urban Decay ones that I started to get in the beginning. And this is actually in order of purchase. So the very first one that I got was the Urban Decay Naked Ultimate Basics palette. This was one of my first naked neutral palettes. The other one that I got that I really like is the Urban Decay Naked, I believe this is the first one that they have. This one is really good. I like this one a lot. It's got way more shimmers than anything else. I personally am a shimmer girl, so that doesn't really bother me so much. But if you don't like a lot of shimmers, you probably won't like this one as much, and I actually am not even sure that you could still get it. I think this one's discontinued. Yeah, it discontinued for this one. This was one of my very first, and probably will never get rid of it. Now, Naked 2, I like. I don't find that I really reach for this one at all. I think I'm keeping it more so for collector's purposes because I do have quite a few Naked palettes here from Urban Decay. But I like this a lot when I first got it because it definitely started to spark my love of shimmers. But saturation is really not as great on this one. But this is my Naked 2. And then I consider the Smoky palette, again, I consider some blacks and other colors in my neutral family because I would wear it the same way, but this is the Naked Smoky. Now, when I watch YouTube videos, this isn't the most popular palette, but I actually really love the color story here and the packaging. Again, they kill it with packaging too. But I mean, it's a decent color story here. So this is one of my favorite palettes, and I'm not gonna get rid of this one either. Now for Naked Reloaded. Can you tell from the way I paused? Whoops. I'm not a huge fan of this one. I like the colors when you look at them, but I think I use this one the most. This one's Burn. Yeah, that's a beautiful copper color. And what is the other one I use? Daydreamer. This one feels really dry, but yeah, it doesn't do much at all. This is one of those barely there looks. Let's see if I can swipe some more. Yeah, it's not the greatest. I know some people love this palette, and I have it and I'll keep it probably to reference in other videos, but this really, out of all my neutral palettes, is not my favorite. So moving right along and into Anastasia Beverly Hills, when I first got into these palettes, or to this brand, everything changed. I started to understand formula and saturation and all of those things that you hear spoken about so often on other YouTube channels, makeup videos. And this is really kind of what did that for me, is the Anastasia brand. Again, I keep my packaging, so this one's looking a little bit beat up, but I'd rather, especially since the palette is like a velvety soft material, I'd rather the package look a little bit beat up rather than the actual palette itself. But this is an order that I purchased. Now you'll see Mario, which is discontinued, and I'll get into that story later, but that was the last one in the neutral family that I got. So the first one, I love this palette, is Soft Glam. See, it's still pretty, which I like. Anyways, aside from that, I'm such a neat freak with certain things. Soft Glam is, oh man, this palette is gorgeous. This is such a beautiful palette. Like, you can do so many different looks with this, and this is really what kind of got me into branching out with neutral palettes because of the color story in here, and I started to play with like the sienna and using it just as an all over lid color here. I don't know if the camera, I turned down the light so you can see a little bit better, but it's kind of not showing as much as I like. But I love that color. I love Sultry. Sultry is so pretty. Sultry looks very similar to one of the ones I just swatched in the Urban Decay palette, but beautiful colors there. And then you have bronze. I haven't really gotten into these gold colors just yet, but I'm getting there. But I mostly just kind of play around in the Dusty Rose, Sultry, Sienna, Rose Pink. Let me find a clean finger. Rose Pink is, oh crap, got it on my rug. Stunning. So anyways, there you go. I love this palette. Now Sultry, who would not keep this packaging? This is, I guess you have to be like me and just freaking go crazy on packaging to keep it, but this is insane. So Sultry is one that I keep these things. Again, I'm a neat freak. I would say sorry, but I'm actually not sorry about it. So this is stunning. This is kind of similar a bit to this one. sort of. They look really similar, kind of, if you're looking at it, but this one has a bit more mattes, and I think the colors are a bit warmer than this one here, whereas this one is definitely a bit cooler, but this has incredible shimmers, like this rose quartz here. Let's see if I can, oh man, that just kills it. And the cinder here, bloom, this one really stretches my, I don't use the brush, that's why it's still in the plastic there. I have other brushes, but this one here is really stretching me to come up with looks that are outside of my comfort zone when it comes to neutrals, and this is a perfect palette for that one. I love this one so much. So that is sultry. Now my Mario Master palette. This one I got from Poshmark, so it was not new, sanitized it and everything. It is in perfect condition. I actually have a knockoff of this one that I'll show you, because I wasn't able to get it, and then I just looked on Poshmark one day, recently actually, and saw this one. I was like, yes, finally I'm going to get this palette. I don't even know how old it is, but I'm going to get the palette, I'm going to use it, everything's all good. So this is a beautiful palette too, so I love this one here. Okay, moving on to Bad Habit. This brand isn't around anymore. Now they're known for duping other brands. Everyone feels some type of way about whether or not you buy a dupe. Personally, I don't have too much of a problem with it. I think that if you really want a palette and you don't have the money to spend on maybe a Natasha Denona or Pat McGrath, then there's absolutely nothing wrong with going ahead and getting a palette that's really close and similar to it. That's my 2 cents on it. I don't have incredibly strong feelings one way or the other. But so going into this one here is called Artistry. This one is just the Master Palette by Mario, and I got this one first. I couldn't find the Master Palette by Mario, so I got this one. The performance is really good. I'm not going to go too much in performance on these. I'm just showing you my neutral palettes because you actually can't even get these anymore. Now this Artistry here, Artistry 2, is a dupe for the Kim K Mario palette. This is a really pretty palette. This has got more neutrals in it than it does color, but I put it in my neutral stash because it is predominantly neutral. Now this Divine Bad Habit is a dupe for the Natasha Denona Star palette. I was able to get the actual palette later, but I got this one first just to try out the colors and to see if I knew what to do really with this color story, and the performance is incredible. In fact, if you look at some other videos, they actually say that, you know, some of these actually perform a little bit better than Natasha Denona. But again, I'm not going to go too much into these because you actually can't even get these anymore, but these are my Bad Habit neutral palettes. These little palettes are really good. I know everyone has their own feelings about them, but I love the colors in here. This is just a beautiful palette. It's really cute. It's great to just throw into your bag if you want to travel with it, or even if you just want to use it on a daily, but it's so convenient, the size. And then, sorry, that's Warm Brown Obsessions. This one is Smoky Obsessions. Let's do it this way. And it folds back so nice. This is a really pretty palette too. It's got, what, 5 shimmers and 4 mattes. It's a great travel palette. It's a good, if you want to do a glam eye, if you want to do a natural eye, you have the versatility with this palette. These are my 2 palettes from Too Faced. This one's a really pretty, it's much cooler. I like this one even though I don't reach for it that much. And this is very similar to other palettes that I have. But these are great if you want to just travel with them, throw them in your bag. If you want pretty similar eye looks that you're going to get from both of these, or this one by itself and then that one. So these are my 2 Too Faced. Move them over a little bit. These are my 2 Too Faced palettes in my natural stash. Okay, so I went backwards with Lorac. I think, you know, back in the day, everyone was talking about Lorac shadows. I wasn't into makeup at that time, other than just the basic things, so I wasn't really aware of it. But when I started to get aware of other makeup and really get into it, then I went backwards and actually started to really want to try out these shadows that everyone was talking about. So this was actually the first Lorac palette that I got here. And this is really cool tones, but I actually really enjoy this palette. I mean, I really have no complaints about this palette actually whatsoever. The next Lorac palette that I got, oh, this is bothering me. It's dirty. Is this one here. What is this called? I think it's just the Lorac 2 Pro 2 palette. I don't know. But this one, see if I turned down the lights. I don't know if you can really see that. But this, in person, the colors are so pretty. Sable's really close to my skin tone here. Pewter is beautiful. So is Garnet. And I actually really like Champagne. This is my third Lorac palette that I got. This one, you know, can you tell from my sigh? It's okay. It has quite a few lighter colors here, which would be good for a transition. Well, not even really a transition. Maybe this for a transition. These would be good highlight colors. The shimmers are really good. I find that I have to use Fix Plus on my brush to get them a bit more foiled in the way that I like it. But overall, this is a decent palette. I mean, I could use, you know, maybe a third of it routinely. So it is what it is. I mean, it's part of my collection. I may at some point pass it along, but for right now, it's hanging in with the others. And the last Lorac palette that I have here is Lorac Unzipped. Now, I got this one. I saw a collection video, and I really liked the colors in it. So I got this one, again, from, well, you didn't know this, but I got it from Poshmark. This one's good. I mean, I like the colors. It's pretty light. It's a neutral palette. You can get one or two versions of the same look with this one. But yeah, this is the Lorac Unzipped. So this is my Lorac neutral palettes. So these are my Morphe neutral palettes. These two here, the 29A and the 29B, they're not that popular, but I actually really like them because it helps me practice with really doing different neutral looks that actually kind of incorporate different tones of brown and different shades and saturation. So I find that these two, for me, as I'm practicing and learning more, are really, really helpful. But I'll start with this one. This one is the 39F palette. This is such a pretty palette. Like, I don't know if the camera's really picking it up, but these are all shimmers. Now, the thing about Morphe palettes is you'll notice that there's lots of browns in every single palette that they have, pretty much. But this one actually wasn't so, you know, I was okay with that because this bottom row is all matte, and then all of this up here is all shimmer. So you can use it as a really light look. You can, you know, put some Fix Plus on your brush and foil it out even more. So this is a very versatile palette. I find that it's really good to use in conjunction with other palettes for different kinds of looks. So that's the 39F. This one is the 25A. If I can get it open here. This one I don't use as much as I use the 25B because these are much lighter colors. Like these here on me, this whole two top rows would pretty much look the same. Starts to get a little bit more saturated and shows up a bit better on my skin tone from this row down. But it's an okay palette. I mean, I don't really reach for it, but I find that it does help me with other palettes if I'm playing around. But the 29B, this one, I really like these. Again, it's the three bottom rows, but these here I find are fun to use. They're just browns and they're just different tones of brown, but I like to really push my skills and learn more to see what I can get out of just a brown look. So I still find a lot of use for all of these palettes in different ways. My Little Love Conquers All NYX palette. This was my first real palette that I used that I started to really, really like makeup even more. It's not because the colors are necessarily something to wow over, but this just has sentimental reasoning value for me. I like it. I probably will never get rid of it. The quality of the shadows is okay now that I know the difference, because I'm learning more. But you know, this was my jam for quite a while. So this is my NYX Love Conquers All palette. The next palette I have is Persona Identity palette. Quality's good. I have nothing but good things to say about it. I just think that as my skills grow, I'll learn how to use this even more. But this is a Persona Identity palette. Now, if you watch my channel, you should watch my channel, because why not? But I actually talk about this palette a lot. I use it a lot. If you're following my Instagram, which I'll run along here, I use this palette a lot too. This one, I laugh at myself, but I truly mean it's idiot proof, and I call myself an idiot when it comes to this, because again, I'm diving into all this stuff, the world of it, makeup, and having fun with it. But this palette is so flippin' easy to use. You just literally go this way, or start here and go this way. It lays it out for you. I love Dose of Colors. The quality's great. It is a bit powdery, so there's some kickback in the pan. You're going to definitely notice that. It doesn't bother me, but if you don't like that kind of thing, you might want to skip this. But this is such a great palette. It's a great companion palette. It's a great palette all on its own. You can travel with it. I can just fill your ears with wonderful things about this palette and this brand. So Dose of Colors Baked Browns. Yay! Oh, how things change when I discovered ColourPop. ColourPop, yes to ColourPop. Super affordable. The pigmentation's there, the quality's there. It's just, you can't go wrong with ColourPop. So this one here is the Double Entendre. This is a good palette. I mean, it's not one that I reach for all the time, and it's not because of ColourPop or the colors range here. I just have a lot of neutral palettes, as you can see in this video. So this just isn't at the top of the list, but it's a really good palette. Juvia's Place, the Nubian. Juvia's Place, if you haven't heard people rave about it, you really should try it out. Juvia's Place is really on par with ColourPop as far as the price. It's so affordable. They always have sales. The quality of the shadows, insane. Like, the saturation on these palettes is like no other, and I think that's why most people really fall in love with Juvia's Place. This is, I have the thing on top, I'm gonna leave it. The saturation on this one, the thing that makes it different, actually, I'll take it off, is that now when it comes to my skin tone, these colors here, as opposed to some of the others I've shown you, they are without a doubt going to show and just come to play. Look at that. I mean, come on. Well, as soon as I said that, you can't see that one as much. That one's so close to my skin tone. But Juvia's Place, you can't go wrong with Juvia's Place. It's a basic neutral palette. It's a great neutral palette. No complaints about it. And I like the quality of Juvia's Place and love the price, so you can't go wrong. So BH Cosmetics, let me try not to blind you with this one. I don't think there's a way that I'm not going to. We'll do it like that. BH Cosmetics is another really affordable drugstore brand. You can see all my fingerprints. I like BH Cosmetics. I have quite a few palettes with them. The quality is really good. It's not as great as I would say, ColourPop, which is really affordable, and definitely not as on par, well, really not on par with Juvia's Place, but it is a really good brand. They're consistent with their shadows, and they come up with some really nice color combinations. So this one is Glam Reflection Smoke Palette. I love the colors in this. Now, it's a bit deeper in person, but it's nice rust colors here. It's got some blues and greens and neutral. It's nothing, that's going to wow you. If you have a lot of neutral palettes, you probably have all of these colors. But if you're looking at quality and price, affordability rather, you can't go wrong with BH Cosmetics. I think that they still have this palette up on site. If they don't, I do apologize, but this is one of my palettes that it's fun. Sometimes I look at palettes not so much for if I have all the colors in another palette or if I have it like that. I sometimes really just look at a palette and see, okay, well, does it have all the colors together that I would want to use together? And so in a situation like this, do I have these colors? Yes. Do I have them in different palettes? Yes. Do I have them all in one palette together? No. I have it like that in this one. And so therefore, I really like this palette for that reason. So there you go. Okay, my next palette is by Dominique Cosmetics. She's a YouTuber and really pretty big influencer, and she has her own brand. Everyone was raving about this, and I happened to come across it, and this is a really nice palette. I love this palette. It is the Latte palette. I love her formula. It's so incredibly buttery and soft. The color story here is really nice. The saturation on these colors is good. I have nothing but good things to say about this one. And it's different enough where I would actually reach for it or take it with me if I'm traveling someplace. I can get a good, really neutral look here, nice pop of color here. It's got some really pretty decent shimmers. So yeah, I like this palette a lot. It's the Dominique Cosmetics Latte palette. Okay, so my NARS Skin Deep palette. This is new to my collection, and I really love this palette. I find, though, that my skill set does not match the potential of this palette. I'm just gonna say it out loud. And once it does, whew, killing it with the looks. Right now, I can just do basic Betty stuff with it. But it has so much potential, and it's such a good palette. I mean, I think it's different enough with these shimmers here. They're really pretty. I like this one. I mean, look at that. This one here is just gorgeous. I mean, you could just do all over looks, all over lid looks with these and call it a day. Let's see this one. I mean, look at that. Like, that is just so pretty. So yeah, I really, really like this color, this palette. My skill set, again, does not match, but when it does, killing it. I forgot a Too Faced palette, the Too Faced Chocolate Bar. This is an old palette for most people. For me, it's brand new in my collection. I just really wanted to play with it. I think that, like, this is something that was such a classic for everyone, and people have really, raved about how this was the thing of its time. I really just wanted to try it, so I got this palette. It's a chocolate bar. Now for my last two neutral palettes. The granddaddies of eyeshadow, to hear some people say it. I agree. My Natasha Denona Biba palette and my Pat McGrath Mothership Subliminal Platinum Bronze. Just the packaging on this. I'm an artist, and I just could just look at this just like this, not even use it, I suppose. But if, of course, you're using it for what it's intended, eyeshadow, it is, get this out, beautiful palette. I mean, these colors are, this one's hard to show. The colors are really similar to other, but this one you're getting for the experience of the packaging. No, I'm kidding. You don't want to pay money just for the experience of packaging. But the quality of Pat McGrath, I mean, it's just insane. Like, we can just pause. It is, you're definitely getting what you're paying for there. Beautiful, look at that. So this palette I adore. Is it brand new as far as colors in my collection? No. Do I think if you want to spend the money for that, is it worth it? Yes, I do. I like the palette a lot. So that's one of my babies. Then we have the Natasha Denona Biba palette. This palette is, yes, you have palettes. Yes, you have neutral palettes. Do you have some of these colors? Probably. Is this one still worth it? Yes. The tones in these are warmer and there's cooler at the bottom. You can get so many different looks. The quality of Natasha Denona is bar none. and it is just, in my opinion, absolutely worth it. Like, I could rave on and on and on and on. I won't. I'll do a look on it and then rave some more on that. But this is the newest to my collection, and I love it. So that's it. Well, that's all of my palettes. My neutral ones. Not all my palettes. I know I have a lot. I know a lot of people say sorry and all those things, but you know, it brings me joy, and when it doesn't and I feel like I don't need it anymore, then I'll donate it, or I'll give it to family and friends, or you know, if it's in perfectly good condition, I'll probably throw it up on my Poshmark or something and sell it to somebody. But you know, I enjoy it, I like it, and you know, those are my palettes. I hope you enjoyed the little trip down memory lane. I kind of really did, just looking at what I started with and where I am now and where I'll eventually be as I learn more about makeup. But yeah, so that's my palette. I hope you enjoyed it. Why don't you both, before you get into another video or something or get about your day, head on over to Instagram. I would love it if you join me there too. Thanks. Have a good day, morning, evening, whatever time it is, wherever you are. Thank you.